Good morning, Rabbi Say. We're holding in Menachos Taf Samach Gimel. We're starting from the Mishnah on top Samach Gimel Mudalef. So look at the Mishnah. Hoimer Harei Alai B'Machvas. One says that he wants to bring. He's going to bring a donation of a machvas. That's what he says. Harei Alai B'Machvas. So lo yovi b'marcheshes. Should not bring a marcheshes. Menachos lo yavi Menachos, because obviously he needs to bring what he committed to bring. Okay, so that's in terms of two menachos that we have. What is the difference between machvas and marcheshes? We spoke about machvas and marcheshes all the times, but what is it? Marcheshes yesh lakisui, machvas and lakisui divrei basically. Basically, it says the difference between machvas and marcheshes is that machvas is uncovered, and marcheshes is covered. Meaning, you have a pot. There's a cover to the pot, but does not have a cover to the pot. The machlekes over here. That's the difference between machvas and marcheshes, according to Rabbi Yechezkel. Marcheshes amuka u'maseya reichashim. Marcheshes is deep, which means it has a inside to it. And the oil on top is reichashim, is there's like bubbling over there. Machvas tzafo u'maseh kosh. Machvas tzaf means is floating. What does it mean floating? Mean the oil doesn't have depth to it. The oil is very, very close to the top. So it could say, and it's kosher, meaning it's thicker, because it's not very liquidy. Because basically, as we always say, pot and pan. So the marcheshes is a pot, has depth to it, and the machvas is a pan, which is very thin. So there's no depth, and the oil is very small. Welcome back. Look at the Gemara. My time of the Rabbi Yossi. What is the reason Rabbi Yossi that explains the machvas is uncovered and marcheshes is covered? Ilay marcheshes the asya uchushe halev. So, well, maybe marcheshes comes for kapara on bad thoughts in the heart. Bad hirurim halev. Kechtiv rochash libi davar toif. So you see when the heart is thinking or doing, it's called rechisha. Rochash libi. So rechisha refers to the heart. That's why it's covered. Umachvas de'asya machbuyi apeh. And the machvas comes, Rashi brings an example. He said, Lashon hara. So you bring a machvas. Kedamri inshi, manbach nevuche. Machvas, Lashon nevuche, barking. When a person overspeaks, it's considered he's barking. It's like a dog, barking out. So is machvas Lashon nevuche, which is a bark? Says the Gemara, maybe the opposite. Like is another shot. Machvas. So no, in other words, that's the reason that the machvas is open and the marcheshes is covered, because the marcheshes is for the heart, which is covered, and the machvas, which is the mouth, which is revealed. Says the Gemara, maybe the opposite. Machvas da'aseh machbuyi aleif. Machvas can be loshon machboy. Machboy is loshon hidden. Dichtiv lama nichbei solivroyach. Why you hid to run away? Marcheshes da'aseh rechushe. Rechushe is loshon dibur. Kedamin she have a mirachshen sivsesuse. We find in Torah chest his lips were moving. The movement of the lips is called rochash. So maybe it's the opposite. Maybe the marchesh is the mouth and machvah is the heart. Hello. So when you don't learn from here, Gemara lay. He had a Kabbalah from his Rebbe. The machvah is uncovered and marchesh is covered. Beseder. So the Gemara said, the maskana. The Gemara said, is the machvas on the heart and the marchesh on the mouth? We could say either way. Gemara what? Mashma, that it is coming machvas more for the mouth and marchesh for the heart. Says done in the marcheshes. It's like there's depth to it. There's a word to put it into. Machvat safa, meaning it's floating, which is not a lot of oil. Al machvas on top. I mean, it's basically the whole thing is on top. Someone says a donation. I want to bring marcheshes. He put the money aside because I don't know what to do with it. Why? Are we referring here to the kli? When you say marcheshes, is marcheshes um, a vessel, which is the marcheshes, and the mincha is called because of the marcheshes? So he means to say, I want to donate a kli, or marcheshes means that's the name of the mincha. So what does this donation mean? I'm giving a kli, or I'm giving a mincha? Toys already asked over here. So why can't I just do both? Person came and gave a donation. I don't know what he meant. Give both. Like many times when I don't know the donation, we find them throughout Shas that when you don't know what to do, you do both. Just give a kli and give the mach. No, I'm saying because he said a donation, he has to fulfill his obligation. You don't know what it is. Give both if you're fulfilling it. So Toys brings talk about here a case. He put money aside, and he said this money is going to be meant for whatever marcheshes is. Do with it here. Everybody say, here's the money. What do you want to do with the money? The money, this money, I gave this money to be doing marcheshes. So now we don't know what to do with it. The money is already given to Hegdish. Says the Gemara, Kli hoyoba migdish, umarcheshes shmo. There was a kli in the migdish that's called marcheshes. Vedoimin kimin kalbus. Now here, the picture in Rashi is the old Rashi is a little bit, is not the correct picture. The newer, I don't know, art school probably has it as well. It looks like a circle. Let me see. It's a U shape. It's a U shape. The machvah is a U shape. Within the U shape, there is like the cupcakes trays. It's a U shape of a cupcake tray. It's not a full car. It's only that's the picture. This is wrong. The picture that you have in Rashi, he wants to show you how the cupcakes look. So the picture says cupcakes, but that's not the kli. The kli is a U shape, not a circle. In the U shape, you had the cupcakes. So Kamil Kavasamuk, it looks like these apples. That's what it means. The cupcakes, meaning it's within there you have these cupcakes. So Tpucha Baitim is a type of apple. Blue Yevonim, the glue grow on these trees. Meaning marcheshes and machvas is the kli. The machvas and macheshes is the kli, is the vessel. So mainly what does the Mesil say? No, when a person says I'm giving a machvas, I'm giving the kli, not the mincha. If you said minchas macheshes, the mincha is done in the kli. Picham, I'm not sure what he means. According to Mesil, they are sure. That's the way Rashi learns the sugya. Just to mention, the Shita Mekubetzes learns a little differently, and he says that what the Shammai or Suffolk is. Do you have the same kli for macheshes and machvas? Just when you have a macheshes, you put a lot of oil, and by machvas you put a little bit of oil, or it's two different vessels. So if we're talking about that, that's what he says. In other words, do you have in the kli, the opposite, I said, do you have only a kli called machvas? Machvas, it's called machvas kli, and the machvas you could do both menachos, or there was a kli called macheshes. So Bishai not so sure about that, so they don't know what he meant. According to Abitzil, we know there was a kli called macheshes. There's a little bit differently Rashi. Besed. Sukta Mishnah, Hare Alai Betanur. Person says, I want to bring in the oven. Lo yovi mafik, so means he's bringing a mincha that's done in the tanner. Lo yovi mafik koifach. You should not use an oven which is called a koifach, which is a smaller type of oven. Rashi says you put it on top. You put only one dish on top of it instead of two. In the days of the Gemara, they used to use the re'ofim, which is the roof tiles, as a flat item, and you used to cook in it. So you don't use that as well. Which is basically like a type of grill for us. V'lo ma'afe yoyres ha'rovim. Yoyres ha'rovim. Here is a big pot, and is used to bake in it. Tanu shtepom. Is this tanu twice? Sorry, I skipped. Sorry. He could bring that small oven. He said one of minchas ma'afe, which is called the baked goods of mincha. So the ma'afe comes in basically crackers, either thicker crackers, which are called the chalos, or thinner crackers, wafers, which are called a rikikim. You could bring either 10 chalos or 10 rikikim according to Rabban, but not half and half. Shimon says that you could bring half chalos, 5 rikikim, and that will be your korban. You're good to go. It says tanur, not a koifach, which is a small oven. The roof tiles. Like we said in the Mishnah. He says there's 2 types of oven, the bigger oven and the smaller oven as well. One is that you bake it in the oven. The other one is you have to be magdish it in the oven. Magdish it, meaning to use the oven, we saw before a little bit, does the oven have a din kedusha? The oven was magdish, made the mincha, which went into it, chalas were baked into it, kaddish. That's what made kaddish. Umisa Shimon, I swear, the Shimon have this swear the what? That the Tanu makes a kaddish. V'adan Shimon Oimer lo ilo meviragi lo imer shtei alechem lecha aponim ksheres ba'azaro v'ksheres beis pagi. You could do it even outside the azar. I mean, you can take it out of the azar. So what's the problem? So Rashi learns once it's kaddish and the Tanur, you cannot take it out of Beis Hamikdash. Once it's kedusha kli, can't take it out of Beis Hamikdash, and that's the issue over here. Tosh says in the beginning of the Masechta disagrees. It brings many rayas that you could take it out of Beis Hamikdash. So that's not the question. Tosh says it's just not proper to take it out of Beis Hamikdash. Don't tell you go put it, take the chalas of Beis Pagi. Beis Pagi is outside Yerushalayim. It's not proper to do that. Once it's called, you should leave it in Beis Hamikdash. Okay, now right, and Tosis also adds over here another kuda, important thing to know, that there's only one oven in Beis Hamikdash. Same oven for the chalois, for the shtei alechem, for the mincha, everything was done in one oven. Omar Rava, Heimo, Sheyeg Deishim L'Shum Tana. What it means is he has to have in mind when he does a kedusha that he should say, "I'm doing it to bake in the oven." Not that the oven makes a kaddish, but his mindset should be from the beginning that it's really shema for this purpose, and not have it for something else and then change it. In other words, those has to the shema has to start in an earlier stage. So Gemara Rei Alai Minchas Mafe Lo Yovi Mechzo Mechzo. Don't do half. Tana Rabbanon V'chitakri V'shetakri La'sois Dova Rishus. Meaning, there's no obligation to bring this mincha. This mincha comes in donation only. Korban mincha, what is that? Minchas mafe. Shaloyovi mechza chalos or mechza rikikin. Tomud loima korban mincha. Says korban mincha. Korban echad l'mancha v'lo shtayim v'shlosh korbanos. Don't mix up. It's to be only one. Amar lo Reb Shimon in Daf Samach Gimel base. V'chini emar korban shtei pamim. Doesn't say korban twice. Right, according to you, that you have over here, 2 different korbanos. One is chalas, one is kicking. You say korban twice. The pasuk says the chitaki korban minchas ma'afet tanos, a mincha of a ma'afet that you bake in the oven. So it's chalas matzah b'luz b'shemen, u'rikikim matzah b'shuchim b'shemen. So it says the chalas, which is thicker. It says rikikim, which is thinner. They both have to be. It says both. Why it says one korban? So you say korban. In other words, korban of chalas and korban of rikikim. It says one korban, you say the two different types of bread. Maybe maybe you can bring either chalos alone, rikiking alone, or mechza chalos or mechza rikikim maybe, or you can bring half and half. Now, what do you do afterwards? Uboilalum. What is boilalum? After they bake them, they grind the chalus and bring it back to the soilus, become flour again. Now we'll see later that process. So boilam the koimitz mishneim. Then he mixes all up and he does kmitza from the combination from chalus and rekikim. If he did kmitza on one and the other, yotza. Meaning the you should do for both, but the other one works. Says the Yudho, the son of Yudho. How do you know when you're saying mafed, don't do half and half? Now he's saying like his father, like a Yudho that said also don't do half and half. We'll see the difference between them in a moment. That's what Pasuk says. Whatever is done in the oven, or whatever is done in the pan in the pot, you give it to the kohen. Then you have blulu b'shem v'cheva means the one done with oil, and the one which is dry one. Which one is the dry one? Which mincha is the dry one? No oil. Which mincha we do not put any oil in it? Minchas choite. Choite brings, you don't put oil, you don't make it mehudar, so you bring a minchas choite. So minchas choite is the dry one. It says over there, the chob ne'arantiyah. So the pasuk says all the menachos give to the kohen, and he lists all the menachos. When we speak about the dry or the one which has oil, shnei meaning chalukim, you don't mix up the minchas choite with the regular mincha. So also the one we talk about above, we talk about the halos rikikim, it's two different menachos. You don't mix them together. Something more Rabbi Yehuda, Shavi Kol Rabbi Shimon. Second, Rabbi Shimon L'chura has a good taina. The pasuk says korban, and it says chalos rikikim, much the same korban. It says b'shemen twice. Again, the pasuk says chalos matzah is beluz b'shemen. Okay, matzah is mishuchim b'shemen. So it says shemen and shemen. So each shemen is another kli. Rabbi Shimon, Eloikos of B'Shem and Hashem, he wouldn't say B'Shem twice. Have Amina Davka Mechza Chalois or Mechza Rekiki. I would say that's the only option you have. Can I bring only Chalos? Can I bring only Rekiki? Maybe not. That's why it says B'Shem and Hashem. Tell me you can bring Chalos alone. Shem and Hashem can bring Rekiki alone. It says Karma, you can bring it in one together. Says the going now, based on Yehuda and Ravu. So based on Yehuda was the third sheet over here. He's like his father, Rabbi Yehuda, who says you can't mix them up. What's the difference? So the more you can be now the ova b'di'evet. According to Rabbi Yehuda, don't mix it together. But if you did mix it together, it's fine. According to Rabbi Yehuda, where did you learn? You learned from the blulo v'charevo, the one that has oil and minchas chayte. What happens if I mix a minchas chayte with a minchas nedava? It's possible. So I tell you that if you mix a chalos and a kiki together, it becomes pasul. So that's the difference between Rabbi Yehuda and his father Rabbi Yehuda. With this, we conclude the fifth parak of Masechet Menachos. Hadlach kol Menachos, hadlach kol Menachos be'ezer Hashem Yisborach. Now continue now to the sixth parak. The sixth parak is a very geshmaka parak, talking about the Omer, which is very much in the Omer. We're going to be now getting to the Omer in less than a month. We actually, to be more exact, like 3 weeks. We'll be in the Omer. Omer comes what day the Omer comes? Second day of Pesach. This year is to be Friday. The show will be in Eretz Yisrael, being Korban Omer, to Beis Hamikdash. So Korban Omer we have is this whole parak, a very geshmaka parak, refers to a lot of inyanim that have to do with the Omer, and we get to also the whole Korban Omer and everything to do with that. Basically, very much in your when it comes mamish, this part of the Masechta comes very much at the time, the appropriate time that we'll deal with it. So let's start. First Mishnah. Rabbi Shmuel Omer. Omer hayabo b'Shabbos misholosh sein u'b'chol mechamesh sein. What does it mean? The Omer, you take a certain amount of barley, and they would grind it and prepare it until you came to a very fine flour, which is a soilus. Soilus is a fine flour. But how much flour do you need? How much barley do you need to get to the very fine flour? So says the Rishon, well, in during the week, you take 5 sale. So you have more quantity to get even as a more fine flour. Because the more flour, the more barley you have, the more fine flour you have. If it's Shabbos, you bring only 3 same. As we'll see in the Gemara, he has to grind it again and again until he gets to the same amount of the fine flour. Say, Shabbos, doesn't matter if it's Shabbos or the weekday. You only bring 3 same. You never change it from Shabbos to Choyl. It's always the same. If I'm able to reach fine flour within with 3 say of barley, I don't need more. That's what I do. The way Rashi says, I've said grinder, it's more like a sifter. You sieve it until you get to the most fine flour possible. So the more, if you have you have more material, more quantity of barley, so I'm going to get to more fine flour. If you have less, so you have to do it many more times. Who does it? The Yochid, which means the individual. And with 1 sickle, cut the barley. And one basket. I don't need more. So you have 1 guy going out to the field. We're going to see later it was a whole procession. When they came out, he screamed back up. They did a whole demonstration. When they did the Omer, to take away from the Tzdukim. We'll see later. The Tzdukim said that the Omer doesn't come on the Menachos Shabbos is always Sunday. Don't bring the Omer on a Friday. You bring it on a Sunday. So in order to come and say to show that they were wrong, they used to do a big asik, a big to do when they brought the Omer. So they bring the Omer, but he says if it's Shabbos, so you'll do 1 person, 1 sickle, 1 basket. But during the week, you bring 3 people to cut the Omer, cut the barley. With 3 baskets. Mangoes and 3 sickles. I don't differentiate between Shabbos and the weekday. 3 people, 3 baskets, over shalosh mangoes. So you come and make more of a asik about it when you do on a weekday. So Rabbi Shmuel holds that there's a difference. Sorry, Yechezkel Koyanim says that Shabbos you do less than the weekday. Not trying to make too much of a asik about it. Trying to mind the avodah. You have to make might say you're doing it's on Shabbos, so you should do less. But if it's a weekday, you can do more. I'm saying you do more even in Shabbos. So says look the Gemara. Bishua Banon Kasavre Esoron Mufchor Bishlosh Seimasi. You could get to a very fine flour if you have 3 seah of barley. You can reach there. No, it doesn't matter Shabbos or Chol. I always can get to that very fine flour. So I have no need to have more than 3 saying. That's why I have 3 saying Shabbos Achor. And Rabbi Shmuel, like so, what does he hold? If he holds that you can reach fine flour unless you have 5 seo, feel Shabbos Nami is also Shabbos should be 5. If he holds that 3 is enough, I feel Bechol Nami. So what does Shmuel say? On Shabbos, you bring 3. You make it out of 3, and the week you make it out of 5. Why? What should be the difference? Tell you very simple. If you have 5, you can get to fine flour easily. If you have 3, you have to work much harder. Mele, so I read. Kasori Shmuel Yisor move chor below Tichos and Michomish. Tichos and Misholish. So Michom I see Michomish bring 5. Dach is Shvicha Milso. It's easier to do it. Shabbos mutar shiyar bemelocha achas barakodo make many more. Do 1 melocha, which means sifting. Just do it again and again. Fal yarim melochas arbe and don't do more melochas, which means cutting more, cutting another piece of barley. Very good. So the Gemara says really that's the machlekes. Do I try to remind on Shabbos and that? So let's start now the sugya really that goes into the next half. Says the Gemara, Amarabo, Rabbi Shmuel in our Mishnah, Rabbi Shmuel, meaning our Rabbi Shmuel is trying to be mind on Shabbos. It says, let's try to reduce on Shabbos. Don't make so much of a malacha. Even though it's Omer, you're allowed to do it even on Shabbos. But still, try to do the minimum amount. On weekday, I'll bring you 5 saying, but you'll cut 5 saying. On Shabbos, do less. So they said the same. He holds like Rabbi Shmuel, another Rabbi Shmuel. What is it? The Tanya says in the Bryce, if Erev Pesach falls on Shabbos, like it was last year. So the question is, what do you do with the current Pesach? You're supposed to skin the current Pesach to take the inside of the animal, the internal parts. So Mafshi is a Pesach ad Chazidi Rabbi Shmuel Bnei Shavich Berker. So Rabbi says, don't skin the entire animal, remove the whole skin. You don't need it. Skin the animal until the chest, till the half. Then you open it up, take out whatever you need. That's it. Just leave the skin on the animal. I'm saying, no, just remove the whole skin. You can skin the whole animal. So what's the machlokes? Didn't he say there, if you don't need it, don't do it? So we're trying to reduce. Don't make so much of if you don't need it. So there in Pesach, I don't have to skin the whole animal. I can skin only half. So here, it's like a Bishwal over here. It says, don't do 5 same, do only 3 same. Says the Gemara, so Achanami kiva the Efshel Tachin. Mima. Tilmaat Kalakov Shmuel Ochel the Lake of Bizoin Kotchim. There's a big difference. It says there clearly. It's interesting when the Gemara, and what is even the Hartman. The Gemara says, it says over there that what's the reason of Chachamim to hold that you should not skin only half the animal? Because you shleim kotchim munachim bizayin. It's a bizayin. You leave the animal half skin up, half skin in. Right? It's not proper. That's what you can leave for the entire day. So Chacham hold it's not bizayin kotchim. So Rabbi Shmuel over here could be that he agrees with Chacham over there. You should skin the entire animal, not to have bizayin kotchim. So Atka look over Shmuel hachol they like a bizayin kotchim. Here Rabbi Shmuel says no bizayin. But also they could bizayin kotchim. We have some samachtal and aleph. Maybe there he holds like a one. Inami, Ad can look up Shmuel, Bno Shabirchana Awesome. It says you skin half the maim holds there that way. At least there I did all I need to do. I skinned half the animal. I don't need to do anymore. So why should you do more? But here I didn't finish. I'm supposed to bring omer from a fine flour. 5 is a better way to do it. So as long as I didn't reach my destination, I didn't reach my goal, so I have to do Chul Shabbos. So the Gemara says, don't come and tell me that Rabbi Shmuel and Shmuel hold the same thing. It could be they're arguing. It could be they hold the other opinion. Shmuel here can hold there your skin because of Bizayin Kachim. Shmuel can hold there that he can hold here that you do 5 saying because you still have tzarkavah. Ella, Amarabba, we bring some more Mishnah. Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Chanin is gonna kriyanim in our Mishnah. What's our Mishnah? What do we say? Not in our Mishnah. Chanin is gonna kriyanim oimer b'Shabbos niktzar b'yochid b'magol echot u'b'kubachas. We said you have to have only one person, only one sickle, only one basket on Shabbos u'b'choyil b'shloish kupos shlosh magos. So you see over here that what? That he is trying to in Shabbos to reduce action. That is like Rabbi Shmuel says trying to reduce action. Says the Gemara. Because you can do less, do less. And don't cut 5 saying, cut 3 saying. So more no. Again, mimai. Meaning, why are you doing 5 saying and not 3 saying instead of 5 saying? There's no more person. You're not making more of an advertisement when you're cutting more, right? You don't have any. You have the same amount of people. The question is how much they're cutting. Also, you can pursue a mail say late. That's what we mentioned before. I'm trying to make more of an advertising, more demonstration. So I have more people involved. Instead of having 1%, 3 people, I have 3 baskets, I have 3 sickles. I'm making more of a noise. So if so, that's why here it could be our Bishwa and our Mishnah is going to hold that you need to have more people. You know, I mean, also means by us. Doesn't matter if it's 1 person or 3 people. I'm cutting the same amount of wheat. But here I'm doing instead of 5-3. It has to be the same. So you can't say it's the same. So this part we went here in Talmud Aleph. It's basically going back to our Mishnah. Our Mishnah, you have 2 shitas, 2 machlekes. One machlekes is, do I change from Shabbos to the weekday in terms of how much barley do I cut? The other machlekes is, do I have a change from Shabbos to weekday in terms of how many people do I have busy with the evening? It's not the same machlekes. The first one, the Mandama that holds that you change from Shabbos to weekday, or Bishmol that holds you change from Shabbos to weekday in terms of the amount of barley, can hold you still have the same amount of people because you have to do a person to make more of an advertisement. And the Mandama that says that you do less people on Shabbos because he doesn't care so much about the advertisement, he may hold you need to do the same amount of barley in the Shabbos and the weekday because they need to make the mitzvah the best way. So it's 2 independent machlekes, not telling each other. The Gemara is going to continue from here on to bring another way to say the machlekes together. We may start tomorrow from the beginning of the Amud, just for the last machlekes. We'll do a chazar just to have full daf together. Well, this will end today. Boys, I have a wonderful day.